Stugotz here for Blue Apron. I love Blue Apron because they make the cooking experience easy, fun, and affordable. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. To give you an example of one of their featured upcoming meals, garlic butter shrimp and corn with green bean salad and roasted purple tomatoes. Absolutely delicious. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Choose from a variety of new recipes each week, or let Blue Apron's culinary team surprise you. Recipes are not repeated within a year, so you'll never get bored. Customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Blue Apron has several delivery options, so you can choose what fits your needs. And there's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. It's that simple. Each meal comes with step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients and can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. Guys, listen, it's simple. If I could do it, you could do it. I mean, I am awful in the kitchen, and I have used Blue Apron. If I could do this, you could do it. Just follow the easy step-by-step instructions. Blue Apron's freshness guarantee promises that every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Stugotz. That's STUGOTZ. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Stugotz. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
America, it's time for some straight talk. You love your phone. Look at you. You hardly put it down. But you don't love that expensive wireless plan, do you? So what if I told you can keep that phone network and number 2 for a lot less? Well, this is me telling you, it's time to switch to Straight Talk, guys. Bring your own phone and get unlimited plans starting at just $45 a month on America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. More independent agents sell Progressive Insurance than any other brand. Find an agent at Progressive.com. Now that's Progressive. The Morning Roast is here for the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests are on the show, Penzo Performance Line. If you want to tweet us, do it on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at ESPN Radio, at Clinton Yates, at Mina Kimes, and at Foxworth24. We got to spend some time talking about our setup. First of all, Mina, how are you?
I'm all right. I was just about to not say something and try to act professional, and then I remembered which show we're filling in for, but I just housed a granola bar so quickly. I can barely talk right now. My throat is filled with little granola particles.
Okay, so
otherwhat's I'm great.
Describe
I'm glad
what's
for
going
our
on here.
extremely premature reunion.
Yes, exactly.
All
We
right.
had our last show last week, and Mina's in L.A., Dominique and I are here, but we are in – Dominique, you know what? You describe where we are, as we are at Foxworth Manor.
We're in one of my kids' playrooms, so that's what we're doing. Sitting around, there are puzzles on the ground.
Is it bigger than my whole
building
apartment?
blocks. Probably not. I mean, you live in L.A. It's not like you live in New York somewhere.
I stepped
Clinton.
on something that made an animal
Describe
noise,
it.
Mina. It is, okay, we're sitting in a room that has carpet with something that is close to what I would call a Christmas pattern for wrapping paper. There is a shelving system that has 10 units in it. There are a bunch of, like, little side buildy blocks here.
It's a football Monday, guys. Football
green,
Monday.
Blue, and yellow. And there's about a 50-inch TV on the wall. And a little Tykes dunk thing.
50-inch TV?
How about those Rams?
Wait.
How about those Rams, guys?
Okay, pause.
Super
Pause.
Bowl?
You have a
Rams? Super Bowl?
50-inch TV in one of your kids' playrooms? That is bigger than my TV.
No, this is irrelevant. The most important thing about our setup is the fact that 2 minutes before the show aired, we were in my basement, and we discovered that we could not connect. So what was more amazing is watching Clinton, who I think the last time he ran might have been in
unless I was running
2000s.
away from something.
Yeah.
You know.
Watching me and Clinton run up all the stairs and carry all this stuff and panting, trying to get our breath so we could talk about how the Rams are going to the Super Bowl.
It's an overreaction Monday. Obviously, there were a lot of big-time games yesterday. Giants-Cowboys was one of them. The Cowboys dispatched of the Giants, who couldn't even get a touchdown on the board. Of course, Ezekiel Elliott played. That was of some matter of controversy, considering the ruling from, I believe it was an East Texas judge. that allowed him to play? Mina, what were your first thoughts about that game? And we'll get to the Seahawks later. What'd you think about the primetime matchup last night?
Yeah, so like Chris Collinsworth said, guys, I promise to only talk about this from a football perspective. I'm going to stick to sports, so I'll break it down for you, and we will not talk about what's going on with Ezekiel Elliott, which was totally ridiculous, and we should make fun of that and talk about it later. But as far as the game goes, I thought it was a little disappointing. I mean, I had a feeling that, not a feeling, I strongly suspected that if Odell Beckham didn't play, the Giants' offense would be such a disaster and so uninspiring that we wouldn't learn much about either team. I've been saying this entire offseason that the Dallas Cowboys' defense is a huge problem, but we don't know because it wasn't tested at all. Dominique, you and I have talked about this a lot. I don't think their defense is good enough.
There we go.
Oh my gosh. Whoa. Quad box music. I haven't heard that in so long. Literally a week. But, yeah, otherwise, though, I thought Dak Prescott looked in mid-season form, as cliche goes. He looked about as good. And, the integration of Zeke Elliott, like, he gets a lot of credit. I mean, he gets a lot of the opposite of credit for playing behind that line. And people always say, oh, he's just a product of the system. But you really see the impact he has on that offense. The extra burst he gets is undeniable.
Yeah, I thought Ezekiel Elliott was exceptional.
Do you want me to keep going?
No, I got it. You don't get the music. Only you get the music, though. But I thought Ezekiel Elliott was exceptional. The thing about the Cowboys that I'm most impressed with is that they can run the ball no matter what. So, like, it's first down, extra man in the box. Yeah. The Giants have a great defensive line, and they hand him the ball, he gets 6-7 yards, and it's just impressive. If you have a team that can do that, like, you can go far no matter what. And I think one thing that goes underappreciated about Ezekiel Elliott is his ability to protect and pass protection, because they don't have to take him off the field ever. He can pass protect, he can catch, he can run. I think that draft pick selecting him was a huge decision, and they made the right one. And I don't know that a lot of people think Jason Garrett's not a great coach, but they're winning with or without him, or because or in spite of him. Either way, that team is going to be formidable. As long as they can run the ball no matter what you do in the box, you can't stop that.
You're listening to The Morning Roast on ESPN Radio. Clinton Yates, Mina Kimes, Dominic Foxhurst. Let's hear what Ezekiel Elliott had to say about how getting back on the field has helped him deal with the situation off the field.
It feels good to be out here with these boys. It's definitely been a tough last 14 months, and, at times it's gotten so hard, and you start to lose faith, but, just being able to come in and be with these boys every day has kept me focused and, made me, not give up and keep going. Like I said, 14 months and just kind of being associated with that's tough.
I didn't really love the fact that he played in this game, to be quite honest. I thought that the way the NFL dealt with this was very bizarre. I still don't like the idea of letting him play one game and suspending him for a bunch of others, or maybe not. Again, the approach to this was oddball. Yeah. And again, as the smallest football fan here, as soon as I heard ODB wasn't playing, I turned it off. By the by, the star power wasn't there for me. So every time I looked up, Zeke was running around the field. Giants got no touchdowns. How much of an issue is this for the Giants, Mina, in your opinion, in terms of their ability to get their offense moving?
He's their entire offense. I can't stress that enough. And people scoffed when Beckham said that he should be the highest paid player in the NFL, but he certainly made his case last night. I mean, the line is a disaster. People are giving the Cowboys defense credit for getting pressure, and Rod Marinelli, their defensive coordinator, is a genius. What he's able to do with such a dearth of talent. I mean, you've got, Charles Tapper and DeMarcus Lawrence getting in the backfield. It's incredible what the schemes he's able to dial up. But the reason they were able to get pressure is because that line is a dumpster fire. And the entire game, Eli was overthrowing, he was underthrowing, he was self-sacking. He appears to be on a continued downward trend, in my opinion. There's still no run game. Brandon Marshall was non-existent, so was the rookie tight end. They are nothing without Odell, Dominique.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is how we kind of anointed Ben McAdoo a genius because he was able to kind of correct Eli Manning, his interception problem. But actually, I think that corresponds also with Odell Beckham. So while we have given Ben McAdoo all this credit, I think people struggle with criticizing coaches in some part because they don't understand what they're seeing. And And when we watch the game, they don't do very much to make it easy on Eli. What made it easy on Eli and what got them all this credit was Odell Beckham. So, I mean, I think we should – and this may be a theme for me going throughout the show as I look at the rest of the teams around the league and we jump on players, particularly quarterbacks, about how bad they are. And I think Houston's another example. We jump on Savage. We got to look at the coaches and what they're doing to set these players up because these guys are NFL players. They aren't this bad. There's no reason why the Colts should have got beaten the way they did. So we need to take a closer look at what they're doing to set their players up for success or not.
Good news here. The NFL has appealed the preliminary injunction granted to the NFLPA regarding Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension. The appeal was filed in the Fifth Circuit of the U.S. Court of Appeals. With the injunction granted on Friday, Elliott likely will be able to continue playing as long as the legal process plays out. Mina, what did you like from this game, if anything at all, besides Zeke's performance?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of really bad offensive line play today. So it was, after watching the Seattle game, which we'll talk about a little bit later, watching the Cowboys is like watching a different sport. So I like that. I mean, it's just so fun to watch. I think Mike, the producer, screamed Ben McAdoo's hair at some point. That sounded his voice. The disembodied voice of reminding us to talk about kind of feeling Ben McAdoo's new look. I'm trying to think about it wasn't a good game, guys. I don't know. It definitely wasn't one of the better games. It was much worse than Thursday Night Football, ironically, I thought.
The slick back is nice, but I don't know what he thought he was doing though. Like, has he ever addressed it? I feel like that's something that you need to address. Like if Odell Beckham just cut off his hair, he would address it. So what was Ben McAdoo's response? Like he's trying to join the mob? Like he wants to be on Wall Street?
Pat Riley's School of Awesomeness.
What is he? Because I kind of liked his other little his podunk hairdo that he had in the past.
He looked like a guy
Come
who
on.
mowed your lawn at the local public school. That's what he looked like.
Before. I mean, he got roasted so heavily before. I just feel like this was an over-course correction. When your friend does the makeover and they come back with, like, bleached tip, like just overly done everything, did not handle it well. He swung too far to the right on the pendulum.
Ben McAdoo is a distraction for this team.
Coming up, we're going to talk about how the Rams beat the brakes off the Colts so bad that Indy's coach had no idea what hit him. But first, a word from Dollar Shave Club. You already know how much I love Dollar Shave Club's razors, but did you know they offer so much more? They make their own high-quality personal and grooming products for your hair, face, skin, shower, everything. And right now, you can try it all. You can get their first month starter set for just $5. It includes travel-size shave butter, body cleanser, butt wipes, Dominique, and a month of their best razor. After that, replacement cartridges ship for just a few bucks a month. Don't miss out. Get your starter set for just $5 today exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/Dan. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Dan.
Ooh, butt wipes.
The Morning Roast. Filling in on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz at ESPN Radio.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. More independent agents sell Progressive Insurance than any other brand. Find an agent at Progressive.com. Now that's Progressive.
And now your SportsCenter update. The NFL returned to Sundays yesterday. The Cowboys had Ezekiel Elliott, and the Giants were missing Odell Beckham Jr. Dallas took advantage and won on Sunday night, 19-3 over New York. The Jaguars had 10 sacks and forced 4 turnovers. Plus, rookie running back Leonard Fournette ran for 100 yards as Jacksonville stunned Houston 29-7. Quarterback Deshaun Watson started the second half for the Texans in the loss. About 2,000 people who attended the Lehigh Valley Zoo's annual brew, at the Zoo Festival Saturday were rushed to a secure location when a bobcat made a break from her enclosure. Yikes. Shishka, 18-year-old bobcat who has lived in the zoo for her whole life, escaped through a gap she had created between a tree growing out of her enclosure and the fencing. It took the zoo crew 90 minutes to round her up. Neither the bobcat nor the guests were injured. Here's the Select Quote difference. Most companies give you one option, one policy, one rate. But Select Quote shops to get you the best of 15 options of highly rated insurers. For a free personalized quote, call 1-800-533-4499. That's 1-800-533-4499 or go to selectquote.com. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
You're listening to the Morning Roast, filling in for the Dan Le Batard
That was
Show.
brutal.
So many words.
I know. Well, also,
That was not a
was
good
like,
read, Dominic.
it was like written by Dr. Seuss. It had zoo, crew, and brew in it. So
I appreciate you having my back, Mina. But you know what would have been really nice to have my back is when I said,
If I wasn't
you
laughing
want to
the
read
whole time?
this read? Yeah, that. And when in the break I said, you want to hit this read? You would have said, yeah, that would have been helpful.
If you want to hit us up on Twitter on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at Clinton Yates, at Mina Kimes, at Foxworth24. Let me explain something to you. You all know the rules. If you come incorrect in my mentions, I will embarrass you in front of your friends and your family, and I will not apologize. I'm going to read some tweets.
Angry Clinton.
At Clinton Yates, not this guy again, 4 question marks. Get used to it, Playboy. At Clinton Yates, he just called Odell Beckham ODB LMAO. Have you never heard that before, fam? Everybody calls him that.
People say that.
What are we talking
Come
about
on.
here? Yeah. That's not something I'm making up. That's not a
I mean,
sad-
ODB versus
that's not
OBJ is an ongoing semantic controversy of the GIF versus GIF nature, to be fair. But it's definitely a thing people say.
At Mina Kimes, at Clinton Yates, good. Clinton struggles by himself. Okay. All right. I see how y'all treat me. All I do is give y'all effort here on this microphone. When the squad comes back, suddenly I'm chopped liver. Okay. That's fine. Let's hear what Chuck Pagano had to say about the Colts getting their doors blown off.
We got our kicked, and credit 49ers and Coach McVay. You know, they played extremely well today. I'm not going to make any excuses. We're not going to make any excuses as a football team that, you know, we don't have this, we don't have that, we're missing this guy, we're missing that guy. That's a bunch of bull crap. You know, and there's not one guy in that locker room that will slide that down that pole. I'm not going to slide that down that pole. Our assistant coaches aren't going to do it, and we're not going to make an excuse. We got a kick. Period.
Did he say the 49ers?
He did. So I play for Chuck. I love Chuck.
Uh-oh.
I'm rooting for Chuck. However,
bias alert.
The 49ers. The 49ers. No. I can't cape up for Chuck after he said the wrong team, and then he started talking about some nonsense about sliding down poles. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
What is that, like, idiom? Like, no one's, you're sliding down, I guess, like a slippery slope or a hill? Sliding down a pole just evokes some strange imagery. And to be fair, if Bill Belichick did that, people would be like, what a boss, he don't care. But we're only laughing at it because it's Chuck McConnell.
Is Chuck one of the smarter individuals you played for in the league, Dominique?
Yeah, I don't think Chuck. So, being smart and being articulate are two different things. So he may not be that articulate, it doesn't seem, and but he is smart. Like from a schematic standpoint, he was a good defensive coordinator. He was a good DB coach. And I mean, I was about to say that he's not a good head coach. The evidence would support that claim. However, I mean, as we all know, there's so many components that go into being a successful team. And one of those components he hasn't had, which is a competent general manager for quite some time. While he has one of the harder things to find is a talented quarterback, he's had a incompetent general manager and I'm trying to find a nice word to describe the owner. Let's just say an eccentric owner. And that's not a good situation for anybody to succeed, even if you have Andrew Luck. So that's my attempt to cape up for Chuck. But I don't know what he's talking about. He said slide down a pole, which I get maybe it's a fireman reference, but he was saying we're not going to slide the excuses down the pole. Like, what?
You botched that whole analogy. For those who don't know, the Rams banged out the Colts 46-9. Mina, what did you see in this game that is going forward going to matter to you?
Well, I'll get to it. But if you're sliding down a pole and it's a fireman analogy, you're being a hero. So he's like, we're not going to slide down the pole is basically saying we're not going to embark on like a heroic rescue mission. So that can't be what he meant when he said that.
He didn't say.
He didn't mean it in a sexy
maybe I misheard
way
it,
either.
but he didn't say. Maybe I misheard it, but he didn't say we aren't going to slide down a pole. He's saying we're not going to slide those excuses down the pole, which also doesn't make
slide
Hold on, let's just hear this again.
Okay.
Let's hear it again so we can be clear on what this nonsense was Chuck Pagano was talking about.
We got our kicked, and credit 49ers and Coach McVay.
Oh, give us the poll stuff, too.
Yeah. The poll stuff.
We're
He
talking about the poll.
obviously said the 49ers.
We got our kicked, and credit 49ers and Coach McVay. You know, they played extremely well today. I'm not going to make any excuses.
We're not going to make any excuses as a football team that, we don't have this, we don't have that, we're missing this guy, we're missing that guy. That's a bunch of bull crap, and there's not one guy in that locker room that will slide that down that pole. I'm not going to slide that down that pole. Our assistant coaches aren't going to do it, and we're not going to make an excuse. We got a kick, period.
Chuck Pagano has no idea what he's talking about.
I mean, well, when you get your butts kicked like that, maybe sometimes
you come up with a bunch of foolishness.
Word salad. It kind of it sounds like a garbage chute situation, right? Or when you're rich people have those things where they send down dumbwaiters. Maybe that's what he meant. But I'm going to answer your question about the Rams, okay? Because it's overreaction Monday, and the Rams being good is probably going to be the worst overreaction, I think, of today. And that's the worst overreactions of the first week of the NFL season always happen because people don't gauge the level of the competition. So I think Sean McVay is a great coach. I think they're inevitably going to be better this season because you literally, logistically, statistically cannot be worse. I just said logistically after making fun of Chuck Pagano for mid-season. And
I liked how you made it, though. Logistically, statistically. You combined them.
Came around to it.
Right? I think we got a thread. I think we got a thread throughout the show of us making up weird word combos.
Box cliches all over the shop.
All I want to say is people don't look at competition when they make, bold statements the Monday after the first weekend. And I believe the Colts could be the worst team in the NFL.
Jared Goff was 21 for 29, 306 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, 117.9 rating. Decent game from him, Dominique.
So that's more than a decent game considering the season he had last year.
Right.
And also, not only did you say logistically, statistically, you called this an overreaction Monday, criticized people for overreacting, and then ended it with the great dismount of the Colts might be the worst team in the NFL. Like, come on, Mina. That is an overreaction on your overreactions.
To that I say, meh.
Coming up, ejections are starting to be a little much in the NFL. We'll discuss the situation that arose in the Seahawks-Packers game next. It's the Morning Roast, filling in for Dan Le Batard, Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
You know that you can take the NFL with you wherever you go thanks to the TuneIn app. No matter where you live or what team you love, TuneIn brings you home and away calls for every game live. Download the TuneIn app and listen live. And now, for your SportsCenter update. The NFL returned to Sundays yesterday. The Cowboys had Ezekiel Elliott, and the Giants were missing Odell Beckham Jr. Dallas took advantage and won on Sunday night, 19-3 over New York. Sticking with the gridiron, the Jaguars had 10 sacks and forced 4 turnovers, plus rookie running back Leonard Fournette ran for 100 yards as Jacksonville stunned Houston 29-7. Rookie quarterback Deshaun Watson started the second half for the Texans in the loss. And lastly, the Pope suffered an eye injury when he lost his balance during a trip through Cartagena, Colombia. Video images show the Pope hitting the left side of his face against a vertical bar of the Pope Mobile, a specially designed open-top vehicle that allows the pontiff to stand and greet the faithful as his motorcade advances. A few drops of blood, Dominique, were seen on his white cassock, the vestments, Playboy, and the area around his left eye looked bruised and swollen. Quote, "I was punched. I'm fine," he joked afterward. The bruises on his face were clearly visible. Try DraftKings' new Pick'em game in the free $100,000 one-week fantasy football contest this Sunday. DraftKings has organized players into 8 tiers. All you have to do is select one from each tier. Use code HUDDLE. That's code HUDDLE and play free only at DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. It's the Morning Roast. Filling in here for the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. You want to tweet us on the 100flowers.com Twitter feed, at Clinton Yates, at Mina Kimes, at Foxworth24. During the break, we discussed Chuck Pagano yet again, Dominique's favorite coach in the history of the NFL. And Mina Kimes revealed something to us about what she takes value in from a presentation standpoint. Mina, please enlighten the listeners.
What I said about Chuck Pagano, well, Dominique Hartown was like, yeah, he does seem like a nice guy. I feel bad trashing him or whatever, and he's had some bad GMs. And I was like, well, why do I think he's a nice guy? I don't know. I'm not like Dominique. And I realized it's solely because he has, truly kind and gentle eyes. And that really means a lot to me when I, look at a person's face. The first thing I notice is if they have kind eyes. And it's, I think, a really rare quality in NFL coaches. It might be why he's not a good coach.
No, don't. Now you've gone too far. So the picture, when you said that, I Googled NFL.
It was escalating.
In the picture that they put of Chuck Pagano up, is like his eyes look so kind. He looks so vulnerable and sweet. Like he is the leader of kind eyes in the pro football coaching ranks. But I do believe that you can be a kind-eyed and a actually kind coach and be successful. I think there are lots of coaches who have kind eyes.
Who?
Let's hear it.
Kyle Shanahan. Looking at a picture of him right now.
Kyle Shanahan does have kind eyes.
Kyle Shanahan does not have kind eyes. Come on.
What? Google him right
Yeah, not at
now.
all.
Look at Kyle's eyes.
No.
They're kind.
Mm-mm. Kyle Shanahan looks like John Hamm if he lost like 100 pounds and like was not as good looking and really loved football. You know who does have kind eyes? And this is a coach that Dominique knows, John Harbaugh. I've said this before. If you just took – that's the difference between John and Jim Harbaugh. It's probably why Jim Harbaugh is a better coach, to be honest, is Jim Harbaugh has crazy competitor eyes and John Harbaugh has kind, sweet, gentle eyes. Pull them up. Look at the
This is
pictures.
true.
Tell me I'm wrong.
John Fox, kind-eyed guy as well, in my opinion.
Mike Tomlin.
No.
No. What?
That was for comedic purposes. Jeez, relax, Mina. So angry.
Hugh Jackson, kind eyes.
Hugh Jackson does have
Sean
kind
Payton.
eyes.
Sean Payton, seriously.
Nope.
Seriously, though,
Nope.
looking at Sean Payton,
I mean-
he's a kind-eyed person.
A little bit.
Au contraire, he has pretty eyes. It's different.
Do we think Jason Garrett's eyes are kind?
Jason
No.
Garrett doesn't look like he should be a football coach. He looks like a kindergarten teacher.
John Fox does have really kind eyes. They're like kind of winky.
Thank
and when
you.
Google him, half the pictures are him smiling and laughing. I just want to hang out with him.
Okay, so the Seahawks played yesterday, Mina. Very awkward situation, apparently, at the end of the game. I watched this game at a Seahawks bar. There were a million idiots yelling, "Go Hawks," all the time. It was very annoying. These are your people, Mina Kimes. But it was a very interesting game because your boy, Aaron Rodgers, obviously was involved. Tell us about what was important from yesterday's game between the Seahawks and the Packers.
Batard texted me, "Are you slightly torn rooting for Rodgers?" And I wrote, this is a slightly edited version of my response, "I'm rooting for him to get sacked," which he did several times. But he looked good. He looked like his, MVP, whatever self. So, yeah, what the controversy or whatever is on the first drive, he threw a pick six, and it was called back. A couple things happened on the return. Cliff Averill, probably one of Seattle's best pass rushers, was called for a block to the back for Rodgers for touching his shoulder pad, in my opinion. But that wasn't the really controversial thing. The controversial thing was Jeremy Lane, the cornerback on the team. He was ejected for punching Devontae Adams, and then when they said that, they kept replaying it, and it was, one, Devontae Adams grabbed his face mask, twisted him, pulled him down, and then he kind of shoved his forearm into his chest. But the announcers, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, kept waiting for a punch, because that was the call, and it just never happened. So it was very confusing, like, what was going on, why did they call a punch, and why he was ejected.
Let's hear what Devontae Adams had to say about that whole situation with Jeremy Lane.
Really, everything happened kind of fast, so I can't really recall exactly what happened, but, it's just two real competitive dudes going at it sometimes, and, the rules are what they are. You can't throw punches, and you'll get kicked out the game if you do that, so, and plus I have a helmet on, so that's not going to do anything anyway.
You're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio. Clinton Yates, Mina Kimes, Dominique Foxworth, you know us as the Morning Roast filling in here. Fighting in the NFL is an interesting thing to me because it seems like such a bizarre thing to try to regulate, Dominique, considering how violent the game is. To me, fights are a natural extension of so many different things. I saw sort of a cut block situation where a guy was engaged up top and a guy chopped him later. I mean, there are reasonable scenarios in which you think you might want to slap a guy upside the head. Why is the NFL so pressed about getting it out of the game, in your opinion, Fox?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because there are ways to legally get retribution in football.
Right.
It's unlike any other game. And, like, I've grown up in football my whole life, and it wasn't until, like, later in life when I started to stop playing football and get around people who play other sports to really realize how different football is from every other sport. And not just on the field schematically, but just the mindset of it. The idea of getting ready for a football game really feels like you're getting ready for something much more intense than a sporting event. And when you're around, like, basketball players getting ready or baseball players getting ready, it's a little bit more low-key unless you're in the playoffs or something.
Yeah.
And on the field, that carries out on the field. And the stakes of the games are so much higher. You only have 16 games. So every play seems so much more important. And when you throw all of those emotions into a mixing pot, sometimes what you get on the other end is people being unreasonably violent and fighting. And inside the rules of the game, you can be kind of relative to other sports. You're allowed to be unreasonably violent, except for like combat sports.
Right.
Here's what I think was interesting about this. So Kevin Cipher, who's a great writer for ESPN and writes a lot about the rules and their enforcement, and the NFL did a piece today about, what's going on here? Why? Because I think a couple other players were ejected for throwing punches who also did not throw punches. And Kevin sort of theorized that it might be something the league is trying to crack down on, basically punches, fights before they escalate, this kind of thing. And Dominique, I've heard you talk a lot about this, sort of the NFL originally just trying to legislate away the impression of violence. You talked about the malice of the palace in basketball and how that can affect people's opinions. However, I would argue that by over-enforcing rules, they're calling attention to violence when people wouldn't even notice it. I mean, like this play in particular, he gave him kind of like there was the face mask and the forearm, but you never would have noticed that. Now it's over and over, punch, punch, punch. I see it on every website. I think it's another example of the NFL trying to take care of something, and as a result, sort of kicking itself in the face. Did I just pull up Pagano? Could you kick yourself in the face?
There you go. You just made one up.
All right, I'm going to slide back up the pole. I'm just saying, I think it's another example of them stepping in. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and they are overzealous. I often think about how at one point after the Richie Incognito thing, they wanted to regulate the N-word on the field, and I was like, okay,
that ain't possible.
You're going too far, NFL. And I mean, this is similar in that situation. And you brought up malice in the palace. It's something that I talked about early in my career in the NFL. The malice in the palace happened, and the NFL was put on notice. They saw what happened to the NBA and how that image, how public and companies had an image of the NBA being kind of a league of thugs. It was cemented, and that hurt their ability to generate revenue. And the NFL saw that coming off of some high-profile issues with Ray Caruth and other guys like that. And then we had the Bengals with Pac-Man Jones and Tank Johnson getting in a lot of trouble. That's when they went from waiting for the judicial system to play its course to being a little bit quicker and more aggressive in their punishments. That's when all this Article 46 started to get out of hand and become a problem. And I think while this doesn't directly relate to that, I think it's in the same vein as they know how people view the NFL, and they're trying to stay ahead of it before it gets out of hand. They don't want to be viewed as this league of violent brutes on the field. That might play into the reason why they have loosened up their celebration.
But they're overdoing
they
it,
want
right?
People talking about, they want people talking about dancing in the end zone, not fist fights.
Right. He's Dominique Foxworth. I'm Clayton Yates. Many times here as well. We're the Morning Roast filling in for the Dan Le Batard Show. But first, a word from Uber. This time of year, it's even tougher finding the time to balance things like spending time with your kids or, or having a date night. I'm about to die over here. Help me. Or getting together with the guys to watch the game with wanting to earn extra money. That's why you got to drive Uber. When you drive with Uber, it's totally up to you when you work. There's no one telling you when to come in or when to go. No calling in sick or having to schedule time off. You're your own boss. You take time off when you want. That's why driving with Uber is the ultimate side hustle. You're earning extra cash when you want. Now, in addition to instant pay and cashing out up to 5 times a day, you can earn more every week with tipping. Riders continue tips right from the app so you can add your weekly earnings for the great service you provide. Earn extra money on your time when it works for you. Get your side hustle on, fam. Sign up to drive Uber today. That's uber.com/drive now. Uber.com/drive now. UBER.com/drive now. Certain restrictions apply. See site for details. Coming up, a lot of NFL rookies stood out yesterday. Fournette, McCaffrey, Kaiser, and more. We'll take a look at their impact on ESPN Radio.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU. You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU. You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
And Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app is presented by Progressive Insurance. And all guests are on the show, Penzo Performance Line. You want to get at us? Tweet us on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. At ESPN Radio, at Clinton Yates, at Mina Kimes, at Foxworth24. We're the Morning Roast, filling in here on a Monday. Right now, it's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. I'm going to read some tweets here. At Clinton Yates. Clinton Yates is rough riding in Foxworth's playroom. Okay.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
I don't know.
At Clinton Yates, nobody calls him ODB. That's not an ongoing debate. You made that up. What? No. Everybody calls him ODB.
If you did,
Clinton, I am down with you reading the tweets. I'm down with you reading the tweets. However, like, this is the Le Batard audience. They are famed for their creativity. Can you at least find some good ones? Because these aren't even funny.
They're garbage tweeters, Dominique.
I'm okay with being insulted. Like, my feelings won't get hurt. But don't waste the radio time with garbage. Like, somebody be funny. Like, make fun of me in a good way.
Point.
This is true. Got to get
Make
smarter,
fun of
y'all.
in a good way.
At Clinton Yates, seriously, how is ESPN paying y'all? The answer to that one is easy. Direct deposit. Come on now. At Clinton Yates, trying too hard to be as cool as Foxworth 24. Dominique Foxworth.
Wow. Whoa. Whoa.
Am I wrong?
No.
Dominique.
I don't
Dominique.
disagree.
I did not know your mom was on Twitter. That's pretty impressive.
Exactly. So, y'all get better on Twitter. I will read them. But in the meantime, Dominique doesn't want them to be done, so we won't do them. How about that, y'all?
I mean, I just want them to be funny or something. Like, just spending the first 2 minutes of the segment listening to people not be funny is a waste of time. So, my list of kind-eyed coaches.
Okay, we've got an update to this.
Todd Bowles, Jim Caldwell, Anthony Lynn, Hugh Jackson, and Mike Tomlin.
Hold on. I need to jump in. I'm sorry.
All right.
These tweeters are coming at me, and I have to address this.
Oh, man.
I have to address this.
We're doing a whole tweet segment. Thanks a lot,
Clinton
guys.
Yates, the reason it's funny is because ODB is obviously well known as Old Dirty Bastard of Wu-Tang Clan, morons. You think we don't know that?
Oh, yeah.
You think we're unfamiliar with the Wu in these streets?
I'm of the age.
That's the whole reason people say it. You're talking to two 30-year-old brothers plus from the East Coast. Absolutely, that's the reason why we call him ODB. It's an homage. Bird brain,
Big Baby
get
Jesus.
it together. My goodness.
Dirt McGirt.
Step your game up, people.
McGirting it.
We're not sitting
Dominique,
in this playroom for nothing.
Why do all the black coaches in the NFL have kind eyes? Please explain. You named, I think,
What is that? Mina. What are you accusing me of, Mina? Who do you think has kind eyes, Mina?
Well, actually, it's funny that you say that because someone on Twitter, to call out a tweet that's not angry, asked us, this is Bass Reeves 34, what is the thing that makes eyes kind? And as I was thinking through my response, I was going to say, well, like little like they're winking at you, narrow, kind of small. I realized I was describing my own eyes, which are Korean eyes. So maybe everyone's ideas of kind eyes is just their own ethnicity. Yeah, I don't know.
Martin Lewis.
We were supposed to talk about NFL rookies
Does
this
not
segment.
have kind eyes. Does not.
Mina Combs, you watched a whole bunch of football. Who had the best day as a rookie in your opinion? In 30 seconds. Mina Combs.
Fournette looked good. He was he did what he had to do. That's what the offense needs him to do. They're going to work him really hard. I was impressed by him. And I actually was impressed by Kaiser. He was up and down, but he fought through it in a way that I'm trying to not resort to terrible NFL cliches, but I was impressed by him. I'll just say that.
Deshaun Watson, I thought, had a good situation. Came in the second half. I mean, Texans yanked Sauvage early. It was first half, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to. Yeah,
that's rough.
We'll talk about what they're doing down there in Houston at some point, but I don't think it's great.
All right. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Coming up, Booger McFarland. Going to talk to him about college football. I watched Oklahoma beat the pants off of Ohio State, and that made me very happy. It's the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN.
Zebra steel pens are forged from grit. Like crafted swords from ages past, a Zebra steel pen feels good the second you pick it up. As you battle your way through the day, sitting at a desk or playing in the dirt, arm yourself with a tough Zebra steel pen. It's as reliable as a sunrise, because after all, a day without sunshine is like night. Pick up your Zebra steel pens at Staples and other fine retailers. Now you've found Zen in your pen, and it's tough as steel.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Stugotz here for Blue Apron. I love Blue Apron because they make the cooking experience easy, fun, and affordable. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. To give you an example of one of their featured upcoming meals, garlic butter shrimp and corn with green bean salad and roasted purple tomatoes. Absolutely delicious. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Choose from a variety of new recipes each week, or let Blue Apron's culinary team surprise you. Recipes are not repeated within a year, so you'll never get bored. Customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Blue Apron has several delivery options, so you can choose what fits your needs. And there's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. It's that simple. Each meal comes with step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients and can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. Guys, listen, it's simple. If I could do it, you could do it. I mean, I am awful in the kitchen, and I have used Blue Apron. If I could do this, you could do it. Just follow the easy step-by-step instructions. Blue Apron's freshness guarantee promises that every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Stugotz. That's STUGOTZ. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Stugotz. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
America, it's time for some straight talk. You love your phone. Look at you. You hardly put it down. But you don't love that expensive wireless plan, do you? So what if I told you can keep that phone network and number 2 for a lot less? Well, this is me telling you. It's time to switch to straight talk, guys. Bring your own phone and get unlimited plans starting at just $45 a month on America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless. Only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
And Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app is presented by Progressive Insurance. You want to hit us up on Twitter? Do so via the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. At Clinton E. Times, at Foxworth24, at ESPN Radio. Dominique doesn't know this, but I'm stalling right now because the screen with the words I'm supposed to say on it is
shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yam, shimmy, yay.
Is not loading. So I don't have any of
I want it to be the zoo. I want to hear
that.
Dominique do the Zoo Crew brew.
Zoo Crew brew. Shoo. I can't get into the document anyway.
Zoo.
The show is a bit of a mess today for various reasons.
Wonder
We're
why.
sitting in Dominique Foxworth's child's playroom on the top floor of his home, Foxworth Manor. Very lovely abode for those of you who
50-inch screen
don't know.
TV. Important detail.
50-inch screen TV in here. That
Get out of my business. You're trying to get me robbed.
The kids probably know how to work better than you do. Joining us now on the Shell Pentola Performance Line is Booger McFarland, college football analyst. How you doing this morning, Booger? Booger, you there? Not sure we have Booger.
Dialing a space station or something. I kind of like it.
All right, well, college football. Did you watch Oklahoma, Ohio State, Dominique Foxworth?
I did. Do I have to do this in my Booger impersonation?
No, do not do this in your Booger impersonation because the Booger's going to lay hands on you, and I don't want to have to deal with that fallout.
Oh, whoa. I'm not quite sure. Not so fast.
You know, listen, if Booger and you got into a ring, Booger would pummel you in.
Whoa.
Booger, you there?
Here.
See, he don't want to talk.
He's here.
Okay.
All right, Booger. We finally got you.
Maybe.
I don't hear Booger.
No, I'm here. I'm waiting for Dominique to apologize.
Booger.
Good luck with that.
They got flights. They got flights from wherever you are to D.C. right now. Hop on it, Booger. Square up.
Dominique, the only thing between you and I right now is air and opportunity, and unfortunately, the air is very, very thick.
You got all these cliches, but I want to see them hands. That's what I want to see. I don't want to hear these cliches, trash talking. You trying to build the fight up. Who you, Conor McGregor? I don't got to sell a fight. Just make it happen. I don't even know why I want to fight you, but now I want to make it happen.
Each of his hands is like the size of your head, Dominique.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. So you think I got to the NFL by being soft, Mina? That's what you're saying? Okay. Just ask Booger some college football questions.
It's all relative.
Speed is nice.
Okay, can you stop
Quick
talking
hands.
now, Dominique? Can we get to the actual football, please?
You're the one that set up this fight, Don King Yates.
Booger McFarland, Oklahoma went into Columbus and cold smoked the Buckeyes. I thought that was going to happen the entire offseason, and it did. Did any of that game surprise you at all?
Well, it surprised me, not from the Oklahoma standpoint, because Baker Mayfield has gotten a little bit better. But I was looking from JT Barrett's standpoint. He just is not playing very well, guys. And you know, we can try to make excuses for JT Barrett and say the offensive coordinator and he doesn't have any receivers. But the bottom line is JT Barrett just hasn't matured and hasn't played any better as a quarterback, and I think that's an issue. And I think if he doesn't, Ohio State's going to continue to struggle. Think about this, Clinton. Their last 12 quarters of football, going back to the Clemson Fiesta Bowl, going back to Indiana Week 1, and now Oklahoma, they've played really 10 bad quarters of offensive football, and J.T. Barrett has been at the helm of all of them.
Lamar Jackson, what do you have to say about Lamar Jackson's performance this weekend, and how do you protect his season and maybe even his NFL career going forward?
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. Lamar Jackson has gotten better, Dominique. I was a guy that was really, really down on Lamar, not because he wasn't the best player last year. I just thought that they used him in a way that wasn't going to set him up for the NFL. Like, in my opinion, I do not think he's an NFL quarterback. I think he's more of a receiver in the NFL, and I think eventually, if he wants to succeed and have a long career, I think he needs to do that at receiver. Now, as far as this year, he's been phenomenal so far. I love what he's doing. He's gotten better as a passer, his ability to throw the football down the field. He made one throw in the North Carolina game that epitomizes, to me, where he is right now. He eluded the cornerback on the blitz, stepped up, and he dropped a dime on North Carolina. That, to me, shows the maturation of him as a passer. Now, can he continue to do that throughout the season? As far as the NFL, I just don't see him having a successful career as a quarterback. I think he needs to be a wide receiver. Not that he can't play quarterback, but if he wants to be successful, I need to put him in wide receiver for my benefit.
Booger, I was really blown away by Baker Mayfield, but a lot of quarterbacks I felt like stock rose this week. And being more of an NFL person, I tend to watch these games through the lens of I'm the Jets fan. Who are we going to take? And I feel like that picture has gotten a little muddled. I was always a Sam Darnold person, especially after last season, even small sample size. But man, Baker looked great. Rosen's looked incredible. Who, in your mind, who is the number one quarterback right now?
Wow. First of all, it's not going to be Baker, and nobody's drafting 6-foot quarterbacks number one overall. By the way, the Jets are terrible, so it's going to be a long year for you. When you look at the quarterbacks, the guy who's going to get the most attention is going to be Sam Darnold. I think from an athletic standpoint and a measurable standpoint, not that that means anything, he's going to be the guy that's going to get all the attention. But if you look at a guy that can absolutely start for the pocket and be that prototypical guy, I like the kid out at UCLA and Josh Rosen. I just don't know what his maturity level is. I mean, here's a guy, he pulled a Dominique. He had a hot tub in his dorm room, hanging out, although it was inflatable. I'm not really sure what his maturity level is. If he can get that together, I think his ability as a pure passer is off the charts, and I look forward to seeing how he progresses throughout the season. And hopefully the Jets don't get him because, I mean, the Jets are terrible, man. How can you still be a fan of the Jets?
I'm not. I'm a Seahawks fan. I was just saying, if I'm a Jets fan, I'm stoked after this weekend. All these quarterbacks look great.
Yeah, some of them look great. I still don't think Baker. Like, Baker may win the Heisman, and he may get invited and be right there with Lamar and Saquon Barkley. But Baker's not a guy that's going to be number one pick worthy. Like, they took Johnny Manziel number one. Cleveland did. And I think they regret that. Not necessarily just off the field, but on the field, his game didn't translate. And Baker Mayfield is a better version of Johnny Manziel, but he's still a 6-foot quarterback that runs around and, you know, kind of improvises and tries to make plays that way.
You're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio. Clinton Yates, Mina Kimes, Dominique Foxworth. We are the Morning Roast, filling in here. Booger McFarland, ESPN college football analyst, joins us on the Shell Penzo Performance Line. Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Booger, what did you think of Nick Saban's comments that he probably didn't deserve his $11 million salary?
Well, hopefully he was saying that he deserved more. I mean, when you understand that he's the greatest coach of our era, maybe the greatest coach of all time, and then you think about this, they pay him more money to coach a football team than they pay probably the entire U.S. Congress or Senate combined. I mean, here's a guy who's making $11 million from a standpoint of a salary. We're not talking about the endorsements and things that he gets otherwise. So I understand what he means. I mean, think about us as a football player, Dominique. They pay us more money than they do doctors who operate on brains, and we all know which is the more important job. So we as athletes are very, very blessed to have this job. We understand that we're probably not worthy of the money we're getting, but this is the economy we live in, and this is what they pay us, and so I think we're very fortunate to have these jobs. And I think Nick Saban is also.
Speak for yourself, Booger. You find a doctor that
Well,
can run a 4.3.
I'm trying to be politically correct. I know
cake.
you make more money than I do, so I'm just trying to bring you in, too.
No, it's no chance, Booger. You on TV all the time. So I got one final question for you. Of all the coaches in college sports or college football, who has the kindest eyes?
Kindest eyes?
It's a good one, right, Mina?
Wow. I've never really looked at a coach's eyes. Urban Meyer kind of has.
Then how you know what kind of man he is if you can't look in his eyes?
But yeah, but I just don't really stare at him, though.
You were saying, Booger, Urban Meyer?
Well, I'm saying that I'm not really looking at a guy's eyes. Urban Meyer has the devilish eyes. I guess if I had to pick one, a guy's eyes that when you look at him, you're like, okay, he's kind of friendly. Maybe I'll go with David Shaw out of Stanford because I like David, and quite frankly, I can't come up with another coach that.
Yeah, Booger, really good pick.
Good pick.
David Shaw's a great pick.
All right, he's Booger McFarland. He's an ESPN college football analyst. Thank you, Booger.
Anytime. Y'all take it easy. Y'all guys do a good job, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, it's time for your Sports Center update. The NFL returned to Sundays yesterday. The Colts missed Andrew Luck and just about everything else, losing 46-9 in Los Angeles to the Rams. Jared Goff had over 300 yards passing in the win. Staying on the gridiron, the Falcons started off right, beating the Bears in Chicago 23-17. Tight end Austin Hooper had 128 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. And breaking news, kiddos, Kyle Shanahan, head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, has kind eyes. This time of year is tough, balancing free time with wanting to earn extra money. Get your side hustle on and drive with Uber to earn extra money on your time when it works for you. Sign up today at uber.com/drive now. Certain restrictions apply. See site for details. The segment has been a bit of a mess.
Messing it. Just
saying. We try to do our thing, Mina, and sort of try to come with the Le Batardian style, but this has been a little bit all over the place. Mina, your thoughts?
We pulled multiple Paganos, I'd say, which is the thing I'm planning on saying going forward. I think I pull at least 2 Paganos a day on average. P per A. No, shoot, I just pulled another Pagano. 3 a day. P per D. My P per D ratio is pretty high.
You got to define a Pagano, though. I don't think that everyone knows what a Pagano is.
Reset that for those who just tuned in this hour.
All right. First of all, there's like a tiny delay between us guys, and the half-split second between when I make a bad joke and you guys indulge me by laughing is murdering my confidence so hard. Is this what it's like to be painfully unfunny? Now I know. So pulling a Pagano is when you are just talking and I'm going to pull a Pagano as I'm explaining how to pull a Pagano, the ultimate meta Pagano, stage 4 Pagano. It's when you just screw up your words and you say a phrase that doesn't make sense. It's inspired by Pagano saying that they weren't going to I'm not going to send those excuses down the pole, or we're not going to go down that pole, which also sounds like a Frank Ocean song.
Wow. I don't know what happened to this show.
This delay is
totally off the rails. And by the way, all you all who are asking me what I thought about Baker planting that flag on the field at Ohio State, I tweeted this yesterday. I'll say it again. when the town is named after Columbus, all unwanted flag planting is immediately fair game. Just so you know that. I'm Clinton Yates. Dominic Foxworth is here, as is Mina Kimes. We're the Morning Roast, filling in for Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio. What a segment.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And if you're just like everybody else in my mentions, you can tweet us something idiotic on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at Clinton Yates, at Mina Kimes, at Foxworth24, at ESPN Radio. All sorts of people in my mentions saying that we didn't ask Booger McFarland about the OBJ-ODB controversy. I realize Booger McFarland went to LSU. I am not asking Booger his opinion on this. I am telling you people what me and everybody else I know calls him. It is a random nickname. Odell Beckham is his name. Therefore, ODB makes sense. He plays in New York City. You know who was from New York City? That would be ODB of the Wu-Tang Clan. Case closed. Dominic Foxworth, speaking of rapping, you mentioned something about bars on Twitter. You like that? You like that, guys? You like that?
I don't agree with you on ODB. I'm just going to say it.
That's fine.
That's fine.
You just said case closed. I'm just like, the case is not closed. I agree with you that
reopen the case?
I'm going to just
the case is open now?
Crack it open. I'm just going to crack it open.
Okay.
I'm just going to speak for the dissenters. I feel like in the beginning it was ODB and then it transitioned to OBJ. Now, that doesn't mean you can't say ODB. I think it's clever. I agree with you. Like, the reasons for it make sense. But I do feel like it's, 60-40 OBJ at this point. That's all.
Dominique?
I personally prefer, this you mentioned earlier that it's like GIF versus GIF. Like, I like GIF, even though I know that the creator said GIF because the word is graphic, so you go GIF. And I understand that by the rules, OBJ would be better, but I just it's because I'm 34 and I grew up on the East Coast. Anytime I can reference Big Baby Jesus, Dirt McGirt, old dirty bastard, I am a fan of that.
I'm never turning down a chance to mention ODB. End of story.
So like in the GIF one, I'll go against the good reasoning because I think the reasoning's on your side, Mina, but ODB is just so much more fun to say.
What did I say? Yeah. Logically, statistically, emotionally, it's on my side.
Dominic, you tweeted at somebody this weekend.
Yeah, so I tweeted, you guys know the HP commercial that has the rapping teacher?
Absolutely.
And they
Great
play
commercial.
it so often.
Of course.
And so I just don't like that commercial, so I tweeted about how I hate that rapping teacher guy, and it got a lot of reaction. And the next day, the rapping teacher guy himself tweeted at me, like, nothing but love, bruh. And so then I felt like an awful human being, and I had to clarify, I'm sorry, sir. I don't actually hate you. I just think that commercial's whack, and they did you no favors because the line that they pulled out and they put in the song is him saying remainders are the remain. Like, what? That's not rapping. That's nonsense. And then he posted some other video of him spitting over the Cardi B beat, and I actually thought that was pretty nice. So I rescind my hate for the HP rapping teacher, and we're now best buds on Twitter. But that line is bad. The remainders are the numbers that remain.
Mina Kimes, your thoughts on Dominique being a bully in these streets?
I know, I feel bad.
I'm glad you stood your ground, Dominique, because that commercial is terrible. But it's not because he doesn't have bars. He can rap just fine. I don't have any issues with his rapping. It's completely realistic that someone who looks that cool, who raps that well, and does art that good, that's what really bothers me when they show his drawings and they're like expert Picasso level, would be a teacher. He should be famous. It just felt very inaccurate to me. That's what I disliked about it.
Well, I mean, Mina, your assessment of rap bars has completely lost all credibility if you thought that based on that commercial, anyone would consider him someone who can rap. And B, the kids dancing in the video, like, it just seems so fraudulent. It's not like what's actually happening in his classroom. And so that's what put me off. But I stand my ground. The commercial's awful. But the guy, he can rap. He's a nice enough guy. I apologize for saying I hate him because I don't hate him. I just hate that awful commercial.
Most importantly, he has tremendous hair. You're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Clinton Yates, Mina Kimes, Dominic Foxworth. We are the Morning Roast, filling in here on a Monday. Chris Collinsworth, obviously a part of the NBC broadcast, and last night during Sunday Night Football, Mina, he addressed the Ezekiel Elliott situation, but he sort of didn't. Please explain to us what happened.
So here's the quote. I pulled it up. So I want to say it was in the first quarter. Zeke Son and Chris Collinsworth says, "We're just going to talk about Zeke as a football player, not, I think, forgive us. We're just going to talk about Zeke as a football player, not any off-the-field stuff." Okay, I'm reading a Twitter transcript, and that's clearly not accurate. I'm sure he didn't say off-the-field stuff, but that was correctly the gist of it, which was, him saying, listen, I just want to talk about football. He kind of stick to sports-sid himself in a way, which I thought was way worse than if they had said nothing, right? But I think they should have said something. And so I tweeted this, and people are coming to my mention saying, well, he doesn't have to editorialize, and it's complicated. And a couple things. One, you're right, he doesn't have to editorialize, but he literally could just report what happened because it is actually extremely material to the Dallas Cowboys season, right? Because this case is still up in the air, and he's one of their best players. And B, it's the biggest story in the NFL. Okay, so for him to say, I'm just going to stick to football. You literally talk about off-the-field stuff all the time. I mean, we've been hearing about J.J. Watt around the clock, and that's deserved and great, but there's a double standard. You can't just pick and choose your spots. We're only going to talk about the good off-the-field stuff or the pleasant stuff. So it really rubbed me the wrong way, Dominique.
Yeah, I love Chris as an analyst because he's one of the few who I think knows what he's watching and can give you actual insight of what the defense and what the offense are actually trying to do. So many analysts kind of blow it and mistake zones for man and do those sorts of things and don't understand different parts or intricacies of the game. So I'll give him that credit there. But I agree with you. I think that one of the things I enjoy and one of the reasons why I work here is that I can use sports to talk about the things that are actually important to me and the things that are actually important. And so when given the opportunity, and I think, to be fair, they should not have gone on there and been editorialized in a way that was judgmental or accusatory about Zeke because he wasn't convicted of anything. But you do have to address it. Yeah. And you can, if they choose to editorialize about Zeke in a negative manner, that's their right. But I think I see those as opportunities to speak to all of the country and people who may avoid these things otherwise. Like, I see those as opportunities. It's never good, but you can make the best of that situation. And as much as I love Chris, I was disappointed. And it's his right to make that decision, but I was disappointed that he didn't delve into it with any depth at all.
Yeah, news is news. And from a simple editorial judgment standpoint, taking that approach, not exactly the mature way to go about things. Morning Roast, filling in here for the Dan Le Batard Show. Yeah, right now, a word from ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100-plus job sites with just one click. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. In fact, 80% of employers who do post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within 1 day. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. Coming up, going to talk about the tennis, kiddos. It's a very fun one in Flushing. You're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
You got this?
Yo, turn me up.
Nothing makes up for your football obsession like a surprise from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order a dozen multicolored roses plus an extra bouquet and a vase for just $29.99, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. And now for your SportsCenter update. The NFL returned to Sundays yesterday. The Colts missed Andrew Luck and just about everything else, losing 46-9 in Los Angeles to the Rams. Jared Goff had over 300 yards passing in the win. And on the gridiron, of course, Week 1 in the NFL continues tonight with a doubleheader on ESPN. The Saints travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings in the first game, and the Broncos host the L.A. Chargers in the nightcap. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern. Monday Night Countdown starts at 5 Eastern on ESPN. Here's the Select Quote difference. Most companies give you one option, one policy, and one rate, but Select Quote shops and could get you up to 15 options from highly rated life insurers. For a free personalized quote, call 1-800-533-4499. That's 800-533-4499, or go to SelectQuote.com. U.S. Open ended this weekend. Mina Kimes, Sloane Stephens won her first Grand Slam. Rafael Nadal won his 16th career Grand Slam title. Did you have a favorite point of this tournament, and what do you think about Sloane Stephens going forward, Mina?
I was rooting for her. I'm not like a tennis aficionado, so I don't have like a good reason aside from the fact that I knew she was. ESPN the magazine did a really good story on her. I want to say like 3 when she was kind of on the rise, but maybe being a little overhyped. The story got a lot of attention because she revealed in it that I don't want to say she had beef with Serena, but that Serena had kind of ghosted her. And then in the story, she's talking about that, and the mom's like, shh, 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 which I just thought was so funny that she was so young and, like, was revealing too much. The story, okay, it was that Serena took her off her BBMs. You remember BBMs? So I kind of always was interested in her after that. And I don't know. I just think she's interesting. So I was stoked to see her be the surprise winner.
When we were on Around the Horn, they asked us a question of whether or not women's tennis was back for the Americans, and I said it's obvious that that's the case. I mean, if you've got 4 people whose names, Dominic, did you know who all 4 of those people were? Yes. Coco Vandeweghe, Madison Keys, Sloane Stephens, and Venus Williams. I mean, like, if you've got 4 household names in the tournament on your soil, you're absolutely back. I don't know what more you could ask for.
I don't know that I would consider them complete household names in every household. Like, it's not like they're not on like LeBron James or OBJ
relative to
status.
Tennis is
but
what
yeah,
I'm saying.
They're big stars. There are plenty of Final Fours in tennis where I'm like,
no idea who anybody
I know
is.
one guy or one girl, but I mean, is tennis back is a weird question because I don't think tennis ever went anywhere. As long as Serena and Venus have been in, I've cared. And my favorite part of this tournament was when Sloane got that check, and her reaction to that $3+ million check was so real. And it just led me to thinking, like, they need to go. I know that tennis is a little bit stuffy, but we need to go in sports where you have prize money like that, we need it in straight cash. Like, they need to wheel that out there and roll it up.
Carry on.
Yeah, or a duffel bag. I just want them to bring out a Louis duffel bag with $3 million in it and hand it to somebody, or just like a backhoe with just cash in it and dump it.
Backhoe.
Like
okay, wait, time out.
Yeah.
What would be the funniest way to present a cash prize to an athlete?
Funniest or best?
This is a non-question. It would clearly be one of those like wind tunnel deals where you got to get inside and start grabbing at the benches,
yes.
and whatever you can get is what you get to keep. Yeah. I would watch that with a pro athlete in a dude.
I like it. I like that idea, but like rather than in there, you got to use their athleticism. So it's just like put stacks of cash on one end line, and then they're on the other end line, and you got to do shuttle runs, get that cash. Like you haven't won any money. You've won the opportunity to do these cash bag shuttle runs.
Win. They used to always rent those. I think there were like phone booths, or Clinton, the wind tunnel type things where they would blow in the money, and they'd always have them at like school fairs and stuff. And they just stressed me out so much. Like, I don't want to go in there. What if I can't get in? It was like too stressful for me to envision even being in the phone booth.
You're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show. It's Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Clinton Yates, Mina Kimes, Dominic Foxworth. We are the Morning Roast, filling in here. I think Sloane Stephens is great. I don't know how much more you could ask for if you're, tennis in terms of an American star that is built, for the media. She knows what she's doing. She's got the it factor. Right. And with Serena being gone, obviously she fills in, and she's obviously not who she is. But you've got to be happy about the future of tennis at this point, Dominique.
It's all relative, though. Like, if she was coming out of nowhere and no one had cared about tennis, that's one thing. But whether she likes it or not, she's going to be compared to Venus and Serena, Serena specifically, and not only because she's really good, but she's a black woman. Like, there's no like, she's not that good, and she doesn't have a powerful serve like.
Well, okay, but hold on, that's not fair. All black women. Serena is the greatest tennis player of all time. Like, you guys eliminate her from the discussion.
The blackness of it, I don't think necessarily matters. I think that I throw that out there because it's another similarity that they have. But it's not like we have gone through a drought of bad women's tennis.
Right.
Like, we've been enjoying Serena's dominance for quite some time. So no matter how good she gets, it's not going to be as good as Serena. Go ahead, Mina.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, that's the absence of Serena. It's good in some ways because it lets other people shine, right, and get that experience and get to that level. But when you're watching it, you just can't help but think, but Serena would smoke her. I don't know. That's just always, I know it's not fair, but that's just the way it is. It's always in the back of mind when you watch these women play in her absence, I feel.
Last year, Sloane Stephens sat out the U.S. Open after a stress fracture, easy for me to say, in her left foot. She made her season debut at Wimbledon in July after surgery, lost in the first round, and lost her next match in Washington, and is then gone 15-2 since. Now, word from Upside. If you travel for business, you know it's a game of wins and losses. Having an open seat next to you on your flight, that's a win. The person in front of you reclining the seat, that's a loss, fam. Buying your business trip at Upside.com, well, that's not just a win. That's a triple win, Dominique. Number one is Upside has the absolute best available prices for flights, hotels, and rental cars. Win number two is that Upside will reward you with a gift card to places like Amazon.com every time you buy a business trip. And number three is the amazing 6-star treatment from Upside's customer service specialists, who they call navigators. Upside navigators are instantly accessible 24/7 on the Upside app, even reaching out to you to help avoid a problem before it happens. And I'm going to start your Upside Stick 6-star treatment right now. Go to Upside.com and use the code DAN, and you'll get a minimum $100 gift card to Amazon.com. That's code DAN for a minimum $100 gift card to Amazon.com when you buy your next business trip at Upside.com. Upside.com. You deserve a better business trip. Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details. Coming up, top 5, kiddos. You're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Morning Roast filling in on ESPN Radio.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
Feel it. You know that part, Dominique?
Of course.
The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests appear via the Shell Pinto Performance Line. And if you got something idiotic to say, hit me up on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at Clinton Yates, at Mina Kimes, at Foxroad24, at ESPN Radio. We're brought to you by Upside. Now save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You'll love Upside.com. That's Upside.com. I've been a little harsh on the tweeters today.
Yeah, but you ask for the tweets every segment, and then you spend the entire
literally
break
started the show asking for it.
About the tweets.
I'm working mind games. I got to train these listeners. Remember, kiddos, if you don't like me, you're liable to listen longer than if you do. Anyway, it's time for Top 5. We're going to bring back what we brought up earlier in the show, which was about coaches. Mina Kimes, take it away.
All right, so we've been talking all day about the very important question of, can coaches with kind eyes be good at their jobs? Because, and we're riffing off of Chuck Pagano, who my take earlier was that his eyes are too kind, and that's why he's not a good coach, which I think is bulletproof, actually. Nobody's really proved otherwise. So, on the other side of that, I'm going to do the top 5 angriest eyes, or least kind eyes, coaches. And
Alrighty.
I think you'll see a trend, which is a lot of these guys are good coaches. So, number 5, this is a guy Dominique mentioned earlier. I think he was just trolling us, Mike Tomlin. So, he doesn't look mean per se, but you know how Dominique does that thing where when he is trying to be like angry and surprised at the same time, he puts an H in front of the W, like, what? Mike Tomlin is like the visual manifestation of that sound. Dominique, make the sound.
He has intense eyes.
Yes.
He has intense eyes.
Make the sound for the listeners so they know what I'm talking about, though.
What?
There you go.
Moving
All right.
along.
5. 4, I've got Adam Gase, who I maintain, even though nobody agrees with me, looks like Putin.
Wow.
He looks
That's
like
where we're
Putin.
going
I'm sorry.
today?
He just does. I'm just pointing out what I think is fairly obvious. I'm
I
going
don't
to throw
know
in a
that I would
curve.
consider. Go ahead. Sorry.
Putin have not kind eyes. I'm not saying anything about that. That's just a comparison I'd like to make. All right, number
That's
3.
an aside, I got you.
This is one that caught my attention yesterday. Doug Marrone, Jags coach, wearing that like full sweatsuit action, Super Jacksonville on the sideline. He kind of has like a Jeffrey Tambor vibe to him in Arrested Development, and he looks angry all the time.
Okay.
Okay, we're getting to, so obviously number 2, Belichick. That's like a given.
Yeah.
Well, his
I would
eyes
say
are
so.
really dark. Like the pupils are very large and angry, I've noticed. All right, and then
He
number
looks
1
like a guy who
for
spends
me,
a lot of time in dark rooms.
Yeah, and like then they put him out in the daylight, and he has like trouble adjusting, and he's like,
Right.
Okay, number one for me. I don't know if you'll agree with this one, but Jim Caldwell, Lions coach, he always looks like he is walking next to his teenage daughter who is inappropriately dressed and is angry because people are checking her out. That's the vibe I'm picking up.
So Jim Caldwell has the best coaching eyes, is what you're saying?
Like disappointed, resentful, and resigned all at the same time.
So can we build this perfect coach with other attributes from other coaches? Because I need Andy Reid's mustache on my coach. So we go Caldwell's eyes, we go Reid's mustache, Tomlin's hairline.
Got to do Harbaugh's jaw.
No.
Got to get the jaw/chin factor with Pete Carroll. Got to have a sturdy jawline so people know you're serious when you're talking to grown men about grown men stuff, Dominique.
But if you're going to go, you can separate the jaw from the chin. But if you're going chin, you got to go down to Houston. Get that Bill O'Brien dimple
true.
chin.
I forgot about that guy.
That dimple chin means business.
I forgot about
The
that.
dimple chin. It's a sign of power. It's a power dimple.
I think so. It's like, didn't Bill Cowher used to have that? He was like the only coach with the dimple chin back in the day.
I mean, that's a kind way to call that chin, just so we're being clear.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm on the radio.
Who do you think the best-looking coach in the league is?
Oh, this is a great question. I mean, Kyle Shanahan really vaulted up the list when he became a head coach, and so did Sean McVay. Just they're very young, so I feel like they're top 5 at least.
Mike Tomlin.
I think Tomlin is the best-looking man who's a head coach in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, that hairline is fierce.
I don't think it's even close.
We're going to unleash hell here in December.
Well played there, Mike.
Splash.
Appreciate that. You're listening to The Morning Roast, filling in for Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio. Clinton Yates, Mina Kimes, Dominic Foxworth. Do you think I have angry eyes?
It's hard because I
knew
know
this was going
you.
to get here, and I didn't want to say anything.
I don't think you have angry eyes, no.
Okay.
I think your general disposition is that of aggressive.
Yes, that is a fact.
I think that people sometimes misassociate that with angry and might say you have angry eyes. Your eyes are quite kind, actually. I'm looking into them right now.
Thank you.
I think your general disposition is that of aggressive.
That's true. Mina, do you think I have angry
Twitter
eyes?
bio.
No, I think you have very animated eyes, though, which are not kind eyes. Like, kind eyes never look lively as yours. Yours look very lively.
Okay.
It's not bad.
You have kind eyes.
For all those of you listening, I'm a very pretty man.
He means Asian when he says that, by the way.
Oh, my gosh. You can get away with saying that. I can't say anything like that because that's not what I meant.
Yeah, you say a lot of things that I can't follow up on either.
Let it sit there. Let it
Getting
get
awkward.
I like it.
Getting real
Bask in
awkward.
it. Lean in. Swim in this awkward, folks.
Should I read
Treading
some tweets?
water.
I can read some tweets. I'm not going to read any tweets. You know who has? You know which sport has the coaches with the most angry eyes?
Go ahead.
Hockey, easily. Hockey coaches are all angry-eyed dudes, and there's no way around that. It's almost like you have to be an angry-eyed guy to stand behind a bench and yell at dudes with skates and blades on their feet. It's a requirement for the sport, Dominique.
Yeah, I mean, hockey also like fighting is part of the game. Like I feel like it's a different sport, even as aggressive as football is. There's something different when everyone's like, oh yeah, it's just another fight, no big deal, no suspensions, no fines, we just fight. Moving on along.
Somebody just put a picture of Adam Gase next to Putin's face, by the way, in my mentions, and I gasped because it was so accurate.
Retweet it.
Have we ever seen them in the same place at the same time? Most importantly, do we need to jump into a morning roast investigation?
Coming up, we're going to talk about Monday Night Football. You're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
Zebra steel pins are forged from grit. Like crafted swords from ages past, a Zebra steel pin feels good the second you pick it up. As you battle your way through the day, sitting at a desk or playing in the dirt, arm yourself with a tough Zebra steel pin. It's as reliable as a sunrise. Because after all, a day without sunshine is like night. Pick up your Zebra steel pins at Office Depot, Office Max, and other fine retailers. Now you've found Zen in your pin, and it's tough as steel.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Well, honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Stugotz here for Blue Apron. I love Blue Apron because they make the cooking experience easy, fun, and affordable. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. To give you an example of one of their featured upcoming meals, garlic butter shrimp and corn with green bean salad and roasted purple tomatoes. Absolutely delicious. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Choose from a variety of new recipes each week, or let Blue Apron's culinary team surprise you. Recipes are not repeated within a year, so you'll never get bored. Customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Blue Apron has several delivery options, so you can choose what fits your needs. And there's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. It's that simple. Each meal comes with step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients and can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. Guys, listen, it's simple. If I could do it, you could do it. I mean, I am awful in the kitchen, and I have used Blue Apron. If I could do this, you could do it. Just follow the easy step-by-step instructions. Blue Apron's freshness guarantee promises that every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Stugotz. That's STUGOTZ. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Stugotz. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
America, it's time for some straight talk. You love your phone. Look at you. You hardly put it down. But you don't love that expensive wireless plan, do you? So what if I told you can keep that phone network and #2 for a lot less? Well, this is me telling you. It's time to switch to straight talk, guys. Bring your own phone and get unlimited plans starting at just $45 a month on America's largest, most dependable 4G LTE networks. Straight Talk Wireless. Only at Walmart.
Savings may vary. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
It's the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We're presented by Progressive Insurance, and all guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Tweet us on the 100flowers.com Twitter feed, at ESPN Radio, at Clinton Yates, at Mina Kimes, at Foxworth24. The tweets are improving, Dominique.
Ooh.
Somebody actually got a smart and funny one off.
Yes.
I RT'd it, so you can check that out. We're brought to you by Select Quote. Free personalized quotes in just 10 minutes. Call 1-800-533-4499 or go to selectquote.com. And now, your SportsCenter update. The NFL returned to Sundays yesterday. The Eagles broke a 5-game losing streak to the Skins, winning 30-17. Carson Wentz had over 300 yards passing in the win. And a Monday Night Football doubleheader ends week 1 of the NFL. The Saints travel to Minnesota in the first game, and the Broncos host the Chargers in the nightcap. Coverage starts on Monday Night Countdown at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Lastly, breaking news. Mina's dog Lenny has an intense gaze that can be mistaken for creepy. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. Mina, do you have any replies to that last piece of important information?
I wouldn't use the word creepy, personally. I think that's a little bit unfair, but they're not kind. They're not gentle. They're very animated. As I'm describing it now, I realize they are kind of like yours, Clinton, what I was trying to say earlier.
Oh,
like,
great. Wow.
They're just lively and intense, and you sense there's a lot going on behind them, and there's like deep reservoirs of feeling at all times.
Wow. Lenny's scarred, though. Lenny's adopted, and he's been through some things.
Oh,
so
yeah.
his eyes have seen
We don't
rivers.
know.
So Yeah, we don't know what Lenny's been through. Well, oh, man, I called him Lenny. I forgot that his name is Linus.
Victory. Yes, you called him by the right name. Yes.
His name is Linus. You know it and I know it. Stop it.
It's not.
We brought it up
if it was,
during
you would have said it.
the Sports Center update. Philly played Washington in D.C., home opener for the Skins. Skins couldn't do anything right. Offense couldn't hold on to the ball. Defense couldn't hold on to the ball. Quarterback couldn't hold on to the ball. Special teams couldn't hold on to the ball. And they promptly got smashed. I don't know who all you Skins fans are out here jumping in my mentions. This team is hot. Carpaccio, kiddos. They stink. If they win 5 games, I'll be shocked. All right?
For those of you who don't know, Clayton is a Washington native and a lifelong fan of the Washington football team.
Correct.
So I guess that gives him the ability or the right to bash this team mercilessly.
I mean, Mina, I don't know. I mean, am I missing something? At no point in that game did I think the Skins had a chance to win.
It's interesting. I mean, it was really close, right? And it's funny. I've said this all offseason. I look at all 4 of these teams, and none of them – I don't think any of them are Carpaccio. Like, I think the Skins are an above average – maybe average to above average team, but I don't think any of them are excellent. I certainly didn't feel that way after Sunday Night Football either. I actually picked the Eagles to both win this game and potentially win the division, and I'm not quite sure if I'm as confident after last night. I think the Eagles' defense is phenomenal, in especially their front 7. I mean, we really saw, the aggressive pass rush. Losing Darby potentially for a few weeks, the cornerback could be a problem because they don't have a lot of depth in their secondary. But Carson Wentz, I don't think he looked that much better than Kirk Cousins, to be honest. He was getting a lot of praise for some of the plays he was making, but he only made good plays when sort of the play broke down. It was kind of sandlot stuff. He didn't seem to have, I think, improved timing or pocket presence at all, which is what I was looking for in this game.
Well, I mean, it's the first game, and I think the thing that both of these teams have as an advantage that it appears no one else or very few teams have in the league is an offensive line. So, I mean, Kirk got sacked 4 times, so the offensive line wasn't holding up as much as we'd liked. But
fumbled twice.
Yeah, we look around the league, and that's something that it seems that very few teams have is that type of protection. So that's looking up for both of those teams. And I'm not talking directly to you or your Seahawks. Relax, Mina.
Like
relax.
I know
well, let's jump into that then. I mean, I've been avoiding.
Hold on. Before we get to that, first of all, you're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. The Morning Roast filling in here on a Monday. We got news from Mort. Eagles cornerback Ronald Darby's dislocated ankle suffered Sunday will not require surgery, a team source confirmed after an MRI. Doug Peterson is expected to offer more clarity on Darby's status shortly. Surgery would have meant that Darby would have missed the entire season. Did you see that injury, Dominique? It was gross.
I didn't see it, but dislocated ankle sounds
nasty.
Awful.
All right, now you guys can argue about the Seahawks. Run along.
I mean, there's nothing to argue about. Your offensive line is terrible, which means that your offense is garbage. And Russell Wilson had a tough time because the offensive line wasn't there. But when he did have time, it wasn't like he was a world beater or any of those.
I thought.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the excuse going forward is that even when they do protect him, he's going to see ghosts. Like, when have they had a great offensive line? They haven't.
But I think, so much of offensive game planning is script and rhythm and, getting 4 or 5 yards, from the running backs and being able to have manageable third downs. And the Seahawks actually is interesting. The yards per attempt for both teams were not that far off from each other, I believe. I don't have it in front of me, but they're very close. But the Green Bay Packers converted 9 of 16 for third downs. The Seahawks converted 3 of 12, Paganoing all over the place. So you can't win games on offense if you convert. Convert is a really hard word to say. 3 of 12 third downs. You just can't. So I do blame Russell Wilson, Dominique. I thought he did not look fantastic, but again, it's so hard for any quarterback, and I have to say this about Eli last night too, a few guys around the league, to get into a rhythm if you are going to get blasted on every other play. Even if you have time, it's just very difficult to get right back up and be excellent.
Watching the Seahawks makes me think of 2 players. One, Colin Kaepernick, because he almost was in there. It makes me think of that. And it also makes me think of Marshawn Lynch.
Brandon.
Race talk.
We're not doing race talk. Just throwing it out
Excellent.
there. It also makes me think of Marshawn Lynch, who I went on record saying that he wasn't going to be Marshawn of old, and maybe he'll wear down as the season goes on. but he ran over Jarrell Casey, who is a Pro Bowl caliber defensive lineman. And what do you have, like 70-something rushing yards, something like that? Like, he looked good. Really
it was the way he got
good.
it, though,
Maybe it's just week one, but I am currently standing corrected that apparently Marshawn is ageless and taking a year off only made him better.
Hey, Dominique, quick question. Wait, guys, are the Raiders for real?
I'm the one who told you all the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl via Marshawn Lynch and head out of town. Of course the Raiders are for real.
Ain't happening.
Is Jacksonville for real? Let's just do Are They For Real?
Hit the music, Mike.
Yeah. Let's do this. Is there music?
Let's do it.
Mina, is Jacksonville for real?
Their defense is for real, Dominique. I mean, all that talent, finally, it's paying off. This defense has been good on paper for a while, not so much in reality. But yet last night, they looked good. They looked for real. They looked promising. And if Blake Bortles does not throw away games, if he just manages them like he did yesterday with the help of Fournette, this team could make some noise.
I'm with you. Calais Campbell up front in them boys. Calais in them boys get pressure. 10 sacks. Calais had 4 in the game. Your defense is definitely for real. You have to harken back to the Ravens, their Super Bowl team, to think of a team that could jump on the back of a subpar quarterback.
Yes.
The 05
Yes.
Ravens. We're looking at this level of defense.
Oh, yeah. Let's compare them to the Ravens. The legendary Ravens.
Quick
defense.
question,
Let's
Mina
do
Kimes. Are the Rams the best team in California? Go.
Oh, man. I don't know. I mean, I did pick the Chargers. We should probably talk about this game, by the way, at some point. I did pick the Chargers.
Don't get out of character.
Denver. Oh, sorry. Okay, character, right. Okay. Clinton. The Rams are not for real. Yeah. They faced heavily diminished competition last night. Anyone could have beaten those Colts. My grandma could have beaten those Colts. I do not have any confidence in this Rams team playing up to that level over the course of the season. They are not for real.
Dominique Fox.
But you have to appreciate the improvement that they had from Goff. He went for over 300 yards after having an abysmal season last year. You have to respect the new coach and what they're doing now. And yes, they may not be ready for the Super Bowl, but they're a much improved team. And the Colts, they're sliding all types of garbage down the pole.
And I will add to this with a very strong statement about something completely unimportant, which is that their uniforms look tremendous. The white on blue is a good look. It's a harkening back to the days of the fearsome foursome, and I enjoyed that very much.
Uni talk.
True. Fair and true.
That's all I got. There are 2 football games tonight, though, Dominique Foxworth. Adrian Peterson returns to Minnesota with the Saints. You interested in that?
Yeah, definitely interested in that. I mean, I think Adrian's one of those guys that you don't want to bet against, especially what we just saw happen with Marshawn. I was one, again, who was gone on record saying not to expect much from Adrian Peterson. But maybe week 1 is the time when these older backs that we all thought might have been past their prime, they're still fresh. Maybe they can put up big numbers. So, Adrian, it could be fun to watch him tonight in the Monday night game, especially being back against his former team.
Mina?
I picked the Vikings to win this one. By the way, if you haven't seen, I was recently added to the ESPN Expert Picks page, currently 8-5, doing pretty well for myself. The reason I picked the Vikings is I love Drew Brees. I do not love Drew Brees on the road. I do not love him on the road against this Vikings defense, which I do believe is for real, by the way, to use that parlance. So I think it could be a close game. I do think Peterson will be extra motivated. It's obviously his revenge game right out the gate is pretty nice. But I still think the Vikings defense is going to overwhelm, this Saints offense.
She's Mina Kimes. I'm Clinton Yates. He's Dominic Foxworth. We're the Morning Roast, filling in on the Dan Le Batard Show. And now, a word from Advance Auto Parts. At Advance Auto Parts, they know how much your car means to you. That's why they have helpful, friendly experts that can help you keep your car running smoothly. Knowledgeable team members that can answer any questions you may have about your car, whether you need new windshield wipers, want to install a new air filter, or need to change your oil, they have everything you need. There's an Advance Auto Parts store near you. Talk to the knowledgeable team members at your local Advance Auto Parts store. Advance Auto Parts, let's get you back on the road. Coming up, there's a late game in Monday Night Football as well. We'll talk about that on the other side. It's the Morning Roast, filling in on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio is brought to you by Upside. Now save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You'll love Upside.com. That's Upside.com. We talked last segment about Monday Night Football. The Saints travel to Minnesota. That's the early game. Starts at 7:10. The late game, however, slightly more intriguing matchup that involves Mina Kimes' Los Angeles Chargers facing off against the Denver Broncos. But quickly, before Mina goes, Dominique, tell us what you said during the break about the commercial you saw for this game.
They were advertising the doubleheader, and so there are 2 games. So they had the games listed in the middle, and on either side they had a star player. One side they had Drew Brees to advertise one game. Yep. Then the other side they had Von Miller to advertise the other game, and it hit me at that moment. Like, if your guy is a defensive guy, if the promotional player is a defensive guy, you don't have a chance.
Right.
Like, your team's going to stink. And if you can't find one person to represent your team, and not that Vaughn is great. I love Vaughn. He's as impactful as any offensive. It's just about any offensive player. But people want to advertise the game with touchdown getters. If you don't got no touchdown getters that people are excited to see, your team probably sucks. So I was just looking through the rest of the league to see whose number one advertiser is going to be a defensive guy. And it's not looking good for the Broncos, because I know guys on that offense, but it's nobody that makes me excited.
No, they don't have any weapons that I would think of.
Mina,
what do you think about this game?
Doesn't make you excited?
No. It's not saying that we're not good, that he's not good. Demaryius is good.
But
they have good offensive weapons, but it's not. Can you imagine if? Yeah, you imagine Demaryius Thomas as like a draw. Like, I don't see him as a draw in the same way that like Odell Beckham would be. Like, your team's not in trouble if that's your guy.
Yeah, I mean, with these quarterbacks, too. That first breakout season he had with Manning, he did look like he was poised to be a star, but, you know, as much as we've been talking about how Odell Beckham Jr. is the Giants' offense, and he's the star of the team, and they need him so much, he still needs – you got to have a quarterback who can throw it to you. I picked the Chargers, Clinton, which is it's an upset, I think, or it was when I picked them. I don't know if the line's moved since then, but I really like this team. Obviously Rivers is the official face of the program, according to this advertisement, but they got a really nice defense in San Diego. They improved a lot last season. By the end of the year, advanced metrics were showing that they were like a top 10 defense just by efficiency. And, I mean, Joey Bosa, I believe, has the ability to be one of the top 3 to 4 pass rushers in the NFL. Melvin Ingram and Jatavis Brown, really nice players. Their secondary, now that Jason Barrett's back, is really good. Casey Hayward's on the other side. I just really like this team. So I know they're underdogs. I know it's hard to win in Denver. I know it's hard to put up a lot of points against that defense. But I think they might be a sleeper team. They could, make some noise.
Hey-oh, you're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio. Clinton Yates, Mina Kimes, Dominic Foxworth, the Morning Roast, filling in. Mina, what is the L.A. buzz regarding the Chargers? I'm very interested to know how the town is taking to this football team at this point. I realize it's only week 1, but what have you heard around town in terms of how people feel about them coming back?
I've heard nothing. There's zero buzz. It's like negative buzz in this town. But there wasn't buzz for the Rams either. I think the only team that people seem to care about, just based on my anecdotal experience, is the Raiders, to be honest. I've yet to see a Chargers fan in the wild. What?
Mina, let me just say this. You are one of the smartest and best NFL analysts who goes deep on what's actually happening on the field and also gives us great metrics to support your assessments. But it is so clear that you are a child of football television, because you do something that's weird that not very many people do. A lot of guys who cover sports don't know anything about sports, so they rely on nonsense cliches like gonna make some noise. You, on the other hand, know a lot and actually understand, and then you give us a list of great, phenomenal metrics and insights, and then you always cap it off with some garbage cliche, like make some noise, and you try to do it to like make fun of yourself a little bit. But I know, Mina, you talk football.
He's right.
I thought that was our thing, make some noise. Is that not our, like,
No.
Have I been misinterpreting this whole time? Have you guys been making fun of me behind my back every time I say make some noise?
What he's trying to say is that you are
looks?
smarter than that.
No, Mina, I know it's our joke, but it's also something that you do. That's not the only one. Like, throughout this entire show, throughout all the shows that we do, even our podcast that we do, the Nickel Package.
I was going to say, I know what's happening here.
Get it out
What's happening here is that there have been things, Mina, that Dominic wanted to air that he wasn't going to do with just you in the building. But now that I'm here, he can triangulate these complaints that have now spilled over to the pod that you all are doing on your own. So I'm going to let you all fight this one out.
So, we have a podcast part of the nickel
yes.
package, Minority Thursdays. It's fantastic. And one of the things that you brought up today, talking about how important a receiver can be to offense, I think that should be one of our big questions, because I think we disagree a little bit on the importance of particular players. Like, you can build an offense around a non-quarterback, but that's another conversation. But I don't have a problem with your cliche mixture. I just think it's funny because a lot of guys rely on it because they don't understand what they're talking about or they are too lazy to do the research. But you combine the two. I enjoy it. I appreciate it. It makes you more approachable. If you just hit them with all those numbers, people might be scared away. Then at the end, you sum it all up with some – they like to put their hand in the dirt. It's like if you wrote like a 300-page dissertation, and at the end you just put like some nonsense, like the end. It's completely unnecessary. But
the thing is,
let me sum it all up with
if you grow up watching a lot of football, like catchphrases just seep into your brain like little worms. Like, cliches are just part of my vocabulary, and you can't really expunge them. Like, they're especially football catchphrases, right? Like, you can't help but say them sometimes.
During the game yesterday, I think I heard Tiki Barber call something a decisive decision, and I was like, God, that is the best piece of non-word wording I've ever heard in my life. You're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio. Clinton Yates, Mina Kimes, Dominic Foxworth fill in. By the by, the nickel package can be found at Apple Podcasts and ESPN.com's Pod Center. How's that going for y'all, by the way?
I mean, it's great. Minority Thursdays, so it's every day of the week we have the nickel package. That's why it's called the nickel package. 5 days a week, there's a new show. It's hosted.
I get it now.
It's
okay.
each show.
That's what that's about.
Yeah, each show is hosted by a different person. All the hosts are white males except for Mina and I, and we share Minority Thursdays. And we
wouldn't Token Thursdays be a better way to?
We like Minority Thursdays better because it dovetails with something that my dad taught me growing up, is that you have to be twice as good. So
yes,
we are twice as good as the rest of the shows. Let that be known. You can tell them. I tell them myself. So yeah, tune in.
I don't know if I'd
download
say
it,
twice.
listen to it.
I'd say like maybe 180%, 170.
Okay. Yeah, we have some room to grow. Yeah, if you combine all the other 4 days, we are about 180% better.
Okay.
Not 200. Not yet.
Mina, which do you think of these games tonight is the better of the two games?
I think, they're both have the potential to be pretty good games. I mean, the AP angle, the revenge. I love a good revenge game. I love an obscure revenge game, like a kicker revenge game is my favorite thing. AP, but this is pretty fry. I think that's going to be pretty nice. It's going to be fun to hear the announcers mention it 300 times. By the 301st time, I'm going to get a little tired of it. But I'm going to go with, I'm excited about the Chargers, but I think the Saints and the Vikings is probably the better game. It's just because the Broncos' offense is such poo that I'm not really excited to watch them. So I'm going to go with the Saints and the Vikings as the better game.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way. I played in Denver. I love that place, so I enjoy watching those teams play. And when those teams match up, those division rivals, you can throw out the record books.
We knew it was coming.
That's all.
It was coming.
That was all just for my meager
Do these teams?
Joke.
Wait, Dominique. Would you say these teams don't like each other very much?
They just plain don't like each other.
Coming up, we're going to talk about baseball. More importantly, we're going to talk about champagne. You're listening to the Dan Le Batard Show.
Second down at 9.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
Makes up for your football obsession like a surprise from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order a dozen multicolored roses plus an extra bouquet and a vase for just $29.99, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. And now, your Sports Center update. My Nationals, Dominique, clinched the NL East after the Braves beat the Marlins. They're the first team to clinch a division this year in Major League Baseball.
Shout out Natties.
This is my excited voice. And on to football. A Monday Night Football doubleheader ends week 1 of the NFL. The Saints travel to Minnesota in the first game, and the Broncos host the Chargers in the nightcap. Coverage starts on Monday Night Countdown at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. And lastly, 2 people are in custody after police say they threw objects over a fence at the White House. The suspects threw the objects over the north fence Monday morning, the Secret Service said on Twitter. A Secret Service agent told NBC's Peter Alexander a sign and a yoga mat were thrown. Pennsylvania Avenue and Lafayette Park remain closed to pedestrians.
Idiots.
Up your bourbon game. Larceny Wheated Bourbon is the key. It's award-winning, small-batch bourbon made with more wheat for a smoother taste. Unlock the smoothness of Larceny Bourbon today. Think wisely, Drink wisely. Larceny Bourbon, Bardstown, Kentucky. 46% alcohol by volume. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day. Joining us right now, speaking of the Nationals, undefeated contributor Daniel Schifferall on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Dan, you were in the ballpark yesterday. Please describe to me, starting with when the end of the game actually happened, how this all went, because that celebration looked crazy.
Yeah, so going into the game, the Nationals' magic number was 2, so they needed to win, and they needed the Marlins to lose to the Braves in order to have their celebration. So Nationals win. They win pretty convincingly. You know, Strasburg shuts them out, and essentially everything gets shut down, is put on pause because they have to wait to the end of the Braves game. And so the clubhouse was closed. The fans decided to stay till after the game was over because they wanted to see what was going on with the Braves game. They put the game up on the Jumbotron, and they were essentially cheering as if the Nationals were playing on the field. It was very bizarre. They were playing hype-up music, and the fans were starting to do the tomahawk chop, rooting on the Braves. It was very, very weird. Yeah, it was quite the scene. So they were all essentially Braves fans, and the Braves eventually did rally. They would tie the game in the ninth, and they won it 2 innings later. And at that point, that's when the fireworks go off, and then the players came back onto the field after waiting in the clubhouse for about 90 minutes. And then after they tossed a couple of, items into the crowd, the division championship gear, they went in, and that's when the champagne was popped.
Okay, so hold on. You're telling me there was a 90-minute delay between the end of the ninth and when they actually started? I mean, that's a long time. That's half a baseball game in most times.
Yeah, it was really weird because it looked like for a minute there that the Marlins were going to win. They were up 3 runs in the ninth inning, and then they blew it. So it went into extra innings, and it took a lot longer than they would have hoped. They thought there was only going to be maybe a 20 to 30-minute delay between the end of the Nats game and the end of the Braves game, but that's just the way it worked out. And it was sort of like this waiting game. They were really hoping that they would clinch yesterday. They did not want to have to wait because they have an off day today. So if they, had a good time yesterday, they could have a party Sunday night and have today off. And so they were really, really rooting for it. They didn't think that it was going to happen because it looked like the Marlins were going to hold on, but they got their celebration.
We're talking with Daniel Schifferall, undefeated contributor on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You're listening to the Dan Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio. Clinton Yates, Mina Kimes, Dominic Foxworth, The Morning Roast, filling in here.
So, Dan, what did you see in the locker room that stood out to you? Was there anything unique that's worth reporting that we will be interested by seeing in the celebration?
Yeah, well, this is the first time I've actually had a chance to cover one of these. And, for all the talk, and I know you guys have talked about this on the Morning Roast before, that, baseball kind of has this reputation of being straight-laced and, guys aren't really passionate on the field. Well, this is the one tradition in baseball that I think everybody can get behind. I mean, is it a little over the top? Sure, but who cares? It's fun. So you go in there, they're popping bubbly, they're playing Migos, they were running through the entire Culture album as the celebration was going. It's like, how do you not love this? I mean, it was great. It was very entertaining. The whole organization was down there. Owner, the ownership group, GM, front office. It was a lot of fun. Just kind of, from a reporter standpoint, you alternate between doing your job and getting quotes and then getting sprayed in the face with champagne. So it was bizarre. I had my windbreaker on. I had to put the hoodie up and make sure I was protecting myself. But it was pretty interesting.
Mina?
Oh, hey, sorry. I got caught on the delay again. So let's talk about the Nationals. I mean, right now at this point, would you say what are their chances of going, taking the whole thing?
Well, I think the big thing is their health. They had a lot of injuries this year, even though they won the division running away. Jason Worth went down for a while. He came back. Trey Turner went down. And then, of course, the big one is Bryce Harper with the bone bruise. He suffered that about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So essentially their chances come down to whether or not Bryce Harper can get back in time for the playoffs. They think he can. We'll see. He just started throwing the other day. So I think if he can come back healthy, that lineup is dangerous. Their pitching, their rotation is about as good as it's ever been with Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and Gio Gonzalez at the top. So I think they feel pretty good. And with the Dodgers kind of sliding here a little bit, I think they have to feel even more confident, I should say.
He's Daniel Schifferau. He writes about baseball for various places, and you can find him on Twitter at DSHIF. He's got all sorts of videos from last night. It looked like a fun time. Thanks, Daniel.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Dominique?
Yes, sir.
You ever pop bottles in the locker room?
Absolutely.
After a win?
Oh, yeah. After my rookie year, we won the division. And I remember very clearly the locker room, it was at home. We won the division. I think it was against Oakland. It was the second to last game. And I remember the celebration in the locker room was intense. And John Lynch came up to me and said, enjoy this because it doesn't happen often.
Right.
And he's like a veteran guy who had won a Super Bowl elsewhere. And I took it very seriously. But it's also like you can't actually feel that way in your rookie year because you're like, this is football. This is what it's about.
Right.
Never won another division title for the rest of my career. It's like, and he was right.
Wow.
I thought you were going to say John Lynch came up to you and said, enjoy this because we're not winning the Super Bowl.
We actually won the next game. We had another game down in San Diego. We won that game, and then we went to Vegas to celebrate. A few of the DBs, a lot of fun, and similar to the Odell Beckham situation where they went down to have. ODB situation went down to have a celebration
in Miami. You can't even say it. It doesn't even roll off your tongue, by the way.
Oh, no, it works. It works. As someone tweeted to us, it's just like calling LeBron James LBJ.
Thank you.
It works. But anyway, so unlike the Giants who went on to lose, we came back and beat the Patriots in the first we had a bye, so in the second round of playoffs we beat the Patriots, then we lost to the Steelers in the conference championship. They went on to beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
Mina, are you a pour the beer on top of your own head or spray it on somebody else, a celebration person?
What do you think?
You're somebody else here.
You're somebody else.
Yes, of course I'm somebody else. I would absolutely hate having beer poured on top of my head. Even listening to that story about being the locker room guy, which I've never had that experience as a reporter, give me hives. Ugh.
Your boy Yates is definitely a champagne on my own dome guy. And I've done that before, and I never won jack. Now, a word from DraftKings. Week 1 is in the books, but it's not too late to get closer to the game you love with DraftKings 1 Week Fantasy Football. This Sunday, DraftKings is hosting a $100,000 pick'em contest that's totally free to enter. Pick'em is the newest way to play 1 Week Fantasy Football, y'all. Drafting your team is faster than ever. DraftKings has organized players into 8 tiers. All you have to do is select one player from each tier, choose between public contests with big cash prizes or private contests where you can compete against a group of your friends. DraftKings also has beginner and casual contests where you'll play against people of similar skill level. The best part is you get to draft a new team each week with no commitment. So get to DraftKings.com now and use promo code HUDDLE to play in DraftKings' free contest with a $100,000 total prize this Sunday. That's promo code HUDDLE to compete for your share of $100,000 in total prizes. The contest is totally free to enter. Why wouldn't you try? DraftKings, the game inside the game. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Coming up, we're going to talk about what we learned today. It's the Dan Le Batard Show with the Morning Roast filling in on a Monday.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests appear on the Shell Penzo Performance Line. You want to tweet us? Do so on the 100flowers.com Twitter feed, at ESPN Radio, at Clinton Yates, at Mina Kimes, at Foxworth24. Quick update from Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield. You might remember that he planted a flag in the middle of Ohio State's O after they put a whooping on the Buckeyes, a move that one Clinton Yates loved. But here's what he said, quote, "It was an emotional game. I told you guys last week. I knew that it was going to have a lot of implication on the playoffs. It was an emotional game. It did not mean for it to be disrespectful to any Ohio State people at all, especially the team or the players, because they're a great team and a great program."
Yes, you did.
I didn't mean it to be disrespectful at all. We do the flag thing at OU, Texas. I got caught up in an emotional win. Yeah, it should have been something I did in the locker room, so I apologize for doing it in the middle of the field.
It's not a big deal, obviously, but you meant it to be disrespectful. As someone who played college sports before, like, you do things like that. After you beat a team, you go bounce in the middle of the field. Like, you mean it to be disrespectful, and I think James Franklin, he recruited me to go to Maryland. He's now the head coach at Penn State. Hugely disrespectful to Pitt afterwards, and I loved it. After they beat Pitt, he said, yeah, it's kind of like beating Akron.
Right.
And I shot my man a text with the black fist emoji. Like, thanks for keeping it real.
We have the sound. Let's hear it. Baker Mayfield. Oh, James Franklin, pardon me.
Give me that Franklin sound.
My bad. That's Dom's boy.
But most important is we're 1-0 this week, and we were able to get a win. You know, that's what this was for us, guys. I know last year for their win it was like the Super Bowl.
Football coach voice going.
But for us this was just like beating Akron.
Oh, you can tell. He's so intense in his voice. Like, he meant that to be disrespectful because they beat him last year, and he wanted all of their fans, all of Pittsburgh, to feel that disrespect. So I appreciate that. Good job.
Mina, did you think that was disrespectful?
Absolutely. He was like, you could tell it was one of those things where he knew he was going to say it at the beginning and, like, planned his way, the sentence, like, leading up to it and, you know, landed the dismount, and he probably smiled a little to himself afterwards when he walked off the stage. And I love disrespect, so I am 100% here for that.
Right. That is the...
Who doesn't like disrespect?
That is the part of the modus operandi of this program. But again, I said it once, I'll say it before. When you're in a place named Columbus, disrespectful flag planting is actually, literally, the name of the game. Anyway, what did we learn today? Dominic Foxworth, you're going first.
I learned that we got a resilient team here, the three of us, because we started this show in a bad place with Clinton and I racing up the stairs in my house, carrying a bunch of stuff, plugging it in. We got a bad delay on Mina's side, and we started with a pretty rough first segment.
Yeah,
but we came back. We were resilient. We kept pounding. We kept rowing.
Football metaphor. Need a football metaphor for it, Dominique. The play broke down. The play broke down early.
You fought through the hardship.
We didn't even get out of the huddle right.
Listen.
We fought through hardship, Mina?
I was excellent. I was.
So Mina Kimes is obviously the wide receiver of this team.
Clearly.
All right. We learned what a Pagano is, what it means to Pagano. It basically is what I do all day long, every day, is I Pagano all over myself. We learned which coaches have, speaking of Pagano, who has kind eyes, and I think we clearly established a correlation between having mean eyes and being a good coach. It's kind of really can't be disputed at this point, right? I mean, it's just science. Mean, angry eyes.
I learned that you people are way obsessed with other people call Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, I got dozens of people in my mentions going on and on about OBJ versus ODB. Like, I'm sorry. I'm a 36-year-old man from the East Coast. You ain't going to find me in a situation in which I don't reference ODB when I get a chance. It's as simple as that. I don't care what he wants to be called. If I'm talking to his face, obviously I'm going to call him Odell. When I'm yakking on these here radio waves, I'm going to talk about names that remind me of the Wu. Because Wu-Tang is for the children. Ain't that right, Dominic?
Ooh, baby, I like it. Oh, I probably can't
no, probably
do that
can't
whole
say
thing.
Probably not good.
I also learned that Mina knows a little too much about Pete Carroll's abs. During the break, she hit us with that, Pete Carroll's got a six-pack. I'm like, what?
How did that come? Oh, because somebody said he's a good-looking guy. I didn't bring it up, like, randomly the way you just, posited it. Somebody said he was good-looking, and I said, yeah, he looks great for his age. He has a six-pack. Everybody knows this. And then one of you said, how do you know this, Clinton? And I said, Google it. And if you Google it, there's some great pictures that come up immediately.
This is true.
You're wrong about ODB. It's OBJ. That's fine, though. What else did we learn today? Let me think.
I learned that a lot of you
think
think that all black people sound the same because you keep thinking that everything Dominique says is something I said.
I don't know how you can confuse his voice with this sexy baritone that's coming through your ears, vibrating your speakers.
Who loses
making
there?
Exactly. Your ride great.
I'm the loud, shrill one.
Ooh.
I talk like a guy on the corner telling you something you don't want to know.
I'm the sexy one.
Clinton, now you used to live in New York, and there were the guys who yell, "You want to go to a comedy show?" And sometimes when you
exactly,
I get flashbacks.
They're flipping a little card, like plop, plop, plop. You want to go to a comedy show? There was a guy when I used to work in New York, and there was a guy when I used to work in New York who would stand out in front of our office and yell crazy slogans every day with weird fruit on his head. It was
really awkward.
It was New York. I mean, I loved it. I miss New York.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. The Morning Roast Gang filling in for the Dan Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. By the way, all y'all haters in my mentions, you can watch me on Around the Horn twice this week, kiddos.
2 times.
See you later.
Double up.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.
Zebra steel pins are forged from grit. Like crafted swords from ages past, a zebra steel pin feels good the second you pick it up. As you battle your way through the day, sitting at a desk or playing in the dirt, arm yourself with a tough zebra steel pin. It's as reliable as a sunrise, because after all, a day without sunshine is like night. Pick up your zebra steel pins at Amazon and other fine retailers. Now you've found zen in your pen, and it's tough as steel.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million. What color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or